Let me give you an example of what I mean by you have the right to remain silent. First of all, let me give you a short legal analogy of where it came from. Although you don't have any constitutional rights as a black person, you have these rights that they set in place for the white people to protect themselves. And it's called the Fifth Amendment, meaning that you have the right against self-incrimination. And they call it the Miranda rights. And the reason they call it the Miranda rights is because a person was convicted and he gave an incriminating statement against himself. But he was not given caution by the police that he had the right to remain silent. So they came up with a rule saying that before the police can talk to you, they have to read you your Miranda rights. And you've probably seen it on TV shows that you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say can and will be used against you. So that's your Fifth Amendment right, or your God-given right to be silent. And I'm going to give you an example of why you should keep your mouth shut and not cooperate. In the penal system, judicial system, when you are arrested, you have the right to have a lawyer at every proceeding, especially your arraignment. Arraignment is the first court proceeding that you go to after you have been charged with the crime. And states like Michigan are habitual offenders of not giving you a lawyer. So I'm going to give you an example of what happened. A white person was arrested for a crime. When he was first arrested, he told the police that he was innocent because he had an alibi. He was somewhere else at the time and date that the crime occurred. The police ignored him. So he went to his arraignment hearing. He tried to inform the judge of the same situation. The judge ignored him. So 2 weeks later, they finally appointed him a state-appointed attorney. He advised him of his alibi. His lawyer investigated and corroborated that he did have an alibi. He was released, but he sued them. He sued the police and the state, claiming that had he had an attorney during his arraignment hearing, as the law requires, that he would not have spent 2 weeks in prison. The court agreed. He settled out of court, and the court ruled that all criminal defendants are entitled to an attorney at critical stages of court proceedings. And they determined that an arraignment hearing is a critical stage of court proceedings. But being that Michigan are habitual offender, a black guy come through there with the same situation. Unfortunately, his lawyer didn't investigate his alibi, and he didn't have an attorney at his arraignment hearing. Years later, he got evidence to prove that he was innocent and had an alibi at the time that the crime occurred. But the courts ruled differently on his behalf. If it wasn't so crazy, it would be laughable, right? The courts ruled that they agreed that he had an alibi defense, but they stated that because he pled not guilty at his court proceeding, that he waived all his rights. They basically said that he agreed to participate in the prosecution against him, therefore waived any constitutional rights that were violated. Yeah. They said that it was his fault that he entered a plea at court. And that's why I said that in my book. When you go to court, you stand mute, because the court said, had he stood mute, they would have been forced to release him from prison. But because he entered a plea of not guilty, that he engaged in what's called the adversarial process. So it's very important that we know the rules of engagement once again. Had he not pled guilty and just stood mute, he would have been released from prison. But because he didn't, he's still in prison, unfortunately, even though they know he has an alibi because he was procedurally barred from court from filing any appeals. So that's one of the main reasons that I say keep your mouth shut. Do not cooperate, because it's all trickery. It's all trickery. Going fast forward. When you get arrested for a crime, not only do you not plead guilty at court, at any court proceeding, if you go to the county jail because you can't make bond, they have in prison what are called jailhouse snitches, meaning that the prosecution in the county jail itself, they put what they call plants in the cell with individuals that they are targeting. And these individuals testify in court that the person admitted to the crime. And the reason they get away with it is because guys in jail share their information with these jailhouse snitches, which is corroborating their testimony because he's speaking about evidence only that the defendant would know. So that's another tactic that they use. So, and the third tactic they use is your lawyer. Yeah, your lawyer. He takes the information that you shares with him and he takes it back to the prosecutor. And then the prosecutor look at the police report and look at the evidence that the defendant shared with him, and then they alter or withhold the evidence that would exonerate you. So the second thing you do is you don't talk to a lawyer on a visit or by telephone. You send letters to whatever you need to be done. And you send these letters certified mail. And the reason being is a lot of times lawyers will not investigate your alibi or witnesses that would exonerate you. So when a person files an appeal claiming that his lawyer was ineffective for not gathering this evidence or talking to these witnesses, he gets on the stand and say, well, I talked to him on the phone or on a visit, and he never told me that he had this alibi or that these witnesses could exonerate him. Meaning that it's his word against yours. Because he'll say that you spoke about these things during a visit or by telephone. And this is the reason that you send certified mail. You send, like, for example, you would send him a certified mail, or your family member would write the attorney saying, look, on this date, at this time, I was at this place and that this person can corroborate it. You have to be detailed about who you're speaking about, what telephone number that this person can be reached. Therefore, that when it comes time to file an appeal, you have evidence showing that this man was aware of the evidence and the witnesses that were favorable. But even before then, you don't talk to an attorney until you get what is called a discovery packet. A discovery packet is the information that a prosecutor has against you. It's police reports, witness statements, forensic reports, all evidence that they tend to use against you in court. So you don't talk to a lawyer until you get that. Once you get the discovery packet, you go over the evidence. Now you can see what you have alleged to have done and what witnesses' testimony says and what the evidence shows. Once you get that, then you talk to your attorney. Then your conversation is still limited to what you can prove, because he's not there to help you. He's here to work against you. So, first thing is, don't plead guilty at any court. Secondly, don't talk to no one in prison or in jail about your case, because they can't help you no way. Do not talk to your attorney about anything until you get a discovery packet. Because you don't know what's going on. They have to give you the information before you can form a defense. You see what I'm saying? So if you say something before you get the police report, how do you know what occurred? You don't know what occurred. Okay? So those are the main things. Do not talk to your lawyer about anything. Do not talk to this jailhouse snitches or anybody in there about your case. Don't call your lawyer on the phone. Don't go on a visit with him. Whatever you have to relate to him, have your family do it. Or you do it yourself and do it by certified mail. And this is how you get through the pitfalls. And then thirdly, you have what is called a preliminary examination. Most of the time, lawyers advise you to waive them. Do not waive your preliminary examination here, because this is the testimony or the evidence that they will testify that they have against you. Witnesses will testify that they seen this or saw that, because a lot of times when it comes time for trial, they will change their testimony that was different in their statements, and they will call that inconsistent statements harmless. But you need to lock these witnesses in to what you are accused of doing. That way you have a way to form a defense against what has been alleged against you. But if not, if you leave it up to your attorney, he's going to work against you. And I'm going to give you an example. I wrote a piece, and you can read it. It's dated back before Bill Cosby was released from prison. I wrote the book about how Bill Cosby was incarcerated. And the main reason he got incarcerated was due to his attorney. See, a lot of people think that Bill Cosby was sued for. He wasn't sued for. He was sued for libel, meaning that the woman said that he defamed her when he called her a liar when she said that he raped her. So he was sued for defamation of character. Okay? A lot of people get it misconstrued what the lawsuit was about. So during his deposition, the judge in the case, in the civil case, ordered a deposition, meaning that he ordered Bill Cosby to answer questions under oath. And during this deposition, the prosecutor came to the deposition and informed Bill Cosby that if he admits to giving the person that sued him quaaludes, which was his MO for multiple women. So his lawyer advised him to admit to that. Yeah. His lawyer advised him to admit that he gave this person that's suing him quaaludes. So in order to attain that testimony, the prosecutor told Bill Cosby that he would not criminally charge him for that, meaning that he gave him immunity. So Bill Cosby, under bad advice of his attorney, admitted to the prosecutor that he gave this woman quaaludes. So, and Bill Cosby allegedly had immunity for giving that information. However, the prosecutor that gave him the immunity promise was up for re-election and lost. And his predecessor, who ran against him, campaigned on prosecuting Bill Cosby. But the crime happened in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has a 12-year statute of limitation, meaning that they have 12 years to charge him or they are barred to do so. So in the 12th year, the prosecutor charged Bill Cosby with, despite the previous DA prosecutor giving him immunity. So Bill Cosby and his lawyer filed a motion to have the case dismissed based on the fact that he had an immunity deal. The judge rejected the motion, stating that the immunity was not in writing. Although the Former prosecutor testified that he did give him immunity. Nonetheless, Bill Cosby was convicted and sent to prison. Well, he finally got out, as he should have, because he had an immunity deal. But had he not listened to his attorney, he wouldn't have been in prison in the first place. Because what sound attorney would advise his client to admit to any culpability, especially during a lawsuit deposition? So not only did his lawyer dupe him into relinquishing his money, he made him an unwitting participant in his own demise because he trusted his attorney. So you have to be mindful of these attorneys out here, because they're, like I said, their loyalty is to the court, not to you. It's not to you. And a lot of times we think that these lawyers are in our best interest. They're not. They are the main reason why a lot of our people are enslaved right now. It's because of the lawyer. He is the inside job for the system. So you got to be mindful of that. And we can help you navigate through that as well. But the main thing I want people to know is that we have to educate our people on how to circumvent this stuff. Because as black people, we have a bad habit of telling our kids when they're arrested, talk to the police, go down there and see. But the white people, they know better than that because they know what the system is. You have to tell them we don't have nothing to discuss. If they ask you to come down there, do not go. If they ask you, like if your child is a juvenile, if they ask you, can they speak to your child, say no. Because he's not there to help you. Only time the police want to talk to you is when they're trying to gather information from you to use against you. So why would you help them do that to you? It's simple. Without these deceptive tactics, most people wouldn't be in prison. You know, then I hate to say it, they use our black women as a secret weapon as well. Because they are so scared for their brothers, their kids, and they use this trickery and scare tactics into helping them cooperate instead of just being quiet. They don't know better. They don't want to see nothing happen to their kids. I understand that. Then they think that by them telling on someone else, that's going to help them get out of the situation. It's not. I'm going to give you an example. They have a thing in the law called mere presence. Meaning that just because you was there doesn't mean that you know that a crime was being committed. But in Michigan, it can be 5 people out together. And one of the 5 has an altercation with someone else and kills someone. They're charging all 5 guys. Even though that beef was between the 2 individuals. But a lot of the times, people talk. For example, someone would say, well, I knew that X and Y had some words, and I was just taking them over there to fight. So now, they say, the law says that you admitted that you was taking someone over there to fight. That means that you had knowledge of the crime. Even though the meeting was to fight, someone died in the process. That's saying that you knew that the fight was going to occur. So therefore, you're also culpable for taking that person there. As opposed to saying, I was there and don't say nothing. I don't know nothing. Don't admit that you knew anything about anything. It's plain and simple. They ask you a question, just keep your mouth shut. Let them figure out what happened and who did what. You know what I'm saying? Because if you go out there trying to clear yourself, you really are digging a hole for yourself. Just be quiet. It's that simple. It's that simple. And then by telling someone, it's not going to change the fact that you did what you did. Because didn't nobody make you commit the crime. A lot of times people think, don't go to jail by yourself. Why you want to take it with you? And he could have, and everybody could have probably got off the case. It just be quiet. That's the main thing. Don't cooperate, don't say nothing, and don't panic. So now, we have to understand how the system works, what it's set up for, and then you understand what it is. Like, I tell people, before you try to understand the justice system, you first have to understand the origin of police, of why and how this institution was created. And as I previously stated, the police was created by slave owners and wealthy businessmen to protect their property. That's why when you see riots happen, the first thing they do is go protect the property. Because that's what the police are there for. It's to protect the white people's property and to hunt down runaway slaves. That's what the police was for. So a lot of people talking about, this ain't what this system was designed for. That's exactly what it was designed to do. It's doing exactly what it was set up to do. The only thing is, you don't know that that's what it was set up to do. A lot of people think it's a badge of honor to be up in these plantations. They think it's a badge of honor to be a slave. And this is because this is what's perpetuated on TV and on these reality shows and all that. If he knew what he was, he wouldn't do what he does. So we have to educate our people about what to do and what not to do. You know, I'm not suggesting that anyone go out there commit crime. That's stupid. Because you know what the end result's going to be. You know, it's a trap. The only way you can become a slave is if you engage in the game that they're playing. And they're playing for keeps. You know, they're playing for money. Just like, I'm going to give you an example. In federal prisons, the prisoners are forced to work. Right? They have a corporation where prisoners work inside the prison walls. They make things from computer coding, the military vest, uniforms, all sorts of things. In Michigan, they have the MSI, where they make furniture, and they do central laundry. They have the Braille factory, where they produce books for the blind. You know, everything about prison is making money. Free labor, the same way that America was founded on. So that's the way, this is a way of amassing money. If you took prisons away, America's economy would collapse. Because Michigan also has license plate factory, where everybody in Michigan that drive a vehicle, they get their plates from the state prisons, who are working for 10 cents an hour, where those jobs can be in society. So everything's about free labor. And once you understand what it's about, you will quit talking about mass incarceration. It's mass enslavement. And once you understand that, then you'll know how to go from there. So my suggestion is, let's quit rallying, talking about prison reform, sentence reform, and all that. That's a ruse. Let's get around to talking about repealing this 13th Amendment. Stop sending money up in these prisons. Stop spending money on these lawyers. Because we come from an organization where we will help you navigate through the system. We will get the proper attorneys that will help you. Because most of these attorneys right now are embedded or in bed with the courts. Meaning that they're not going to go in there and fight and expose corruption because they have to do business in this court. Everything is built on favors. That's why they call them all officers of the court. They're all aligned together. So we have to stop spending our money on these lawyers who's laughing at you because he's not going to do what he's supposed to do. Because he can't. He can't. It's a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood. So once you understand that, a lot of people think, well, I spent $50,000 on a lawyer. This lawyer, I got 3 lawyers. Well, you just wasted your money. They give you state appointed attorney. The law is the law, the facts is the fact. Okay? So no matter what you got or what you're trying to spend, you can't change the facts. And a lot of times the facts are not in favor of you, not because of evidence says so, it's because it's something that you said. They take anything you say and they blow it up. So why would you give them ammunition to use against you? Just don't say nothing. It's a ruse. So think about that, and then think about where your people are. So we should be out here trying to motivate our people to change or repeal the 13th Amendment. And unfortunately, you have people like President Obama, people on CNN, black people on CNN, are misleading our people. I'm going to tell you why I say that. Obama, during his presidency, he put up a picture of Abraham Lincoln on his wall for both terms, saying that that's his favorite president of all time because he was the one that abolished slavery. First of all, Obama knows that's a lie. Obama is what you call a constitutional attorney. That means he knows the Constitution very well. And he also knows that there's 3 branches of government. You have the legislative branch, you have the judicial branch, and you have the executive branch, which is the president. The president does not make a law. He just enforces. The legislative branch, which is the Congress, they make and repeal law. And the judicial department, they just enforce the law, and uphold the law, and rule on the law, interpret the law. So when he says that, the 13th, a lot of people, if you go back, you never hear people saying that the 13th Amendment abolished slavery. They always said the Emancipation Proclamation by President Lincoln. Well, we know that Lincoln cannot abolish nothing because he doesn't have the power to enact law. The 13th Amendment was enacted that allegedly abolished slavery. But after reading it, after I read it to you, you understand that it was never abolished. That's why they never talk about it in school. I never heard about the 13th Amendment in school. I didn't learn about that until I went into one of those plantations and discovered who I was at that time, a slave. So you have these people that are beholden to these corporations that can't go on there and actually tell you the truth. It's all about money. So if they tell you the truth, then they don't have nothing to stand on. They won't have a job. So know that these people that are out there rallying, these NAACP and all these other different organizations, they're like everyone else, they just fleece. Because they're not giving you the real. I'm trying to give you real solutions to a real problem. And the real solution is, before you do anything, you got to identify that we're dealing with slavery. And the only way we're going to eradicate the slavery is if you rescind the 13th Amendment. You got to start there first. All this prison reform, sentence reform, all that stuff, that's foolishness. How you going to tell somebody to stop making money? That's what it was for. They're not going to stop. A lot of people don't know, Michael Jordan, he owns private federal prison. In order for those prisons to stay open, they had to have a certain occupancy. That means so many prisoners had to be there before to stay open. So they make sure that the head count meets the status quo. Okay? So it's all about money. And once you understand that, you will quit chasing the rabbit's tail. So let's get together and see what we can do about abolishing or rescinding the 13th Amendment. And how do we do that? By you going to your representatives and requesting it. It's that simple. And you see where it's at. You'll know where everybody stands once you start pushing that envelope in that direction. Because they can't no longer tell you that slavery was abolished. Not with a straight face. So if anybody tells you or is unwilling to look at that and repeal it, there's something wrong. Because if their intent was to abolish slavery, the 13th Amendment should have just said clearly, slavery is abolished. It was abhorrent to the and atrocity to black people. It should have been the end of it. They said no, slavery is abolished except for black people that commit crime. We're gonna put you back in slavery, take you out the front door, bring you in the back.